have the flag, and we can say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we will call this meeting to order. This will most likely be our last Zoom meeting as New York is starting to reopen. May I have a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from June 8th, 2020?
So moved.
Okay, Letty, second. Mark Doniker. Are there any comments or questions, corrections?
No.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Minutes carry. All right, now we'll open it up for public comments. So our public. Okay, and and I have received no emails unless someone else has received any emails. Okay, so we will now close public comment and go to the report of Public Works that Mark Doniker has very kindly agreed to give on behalf of Roger, who was unable to make it this evening. So Mark,
Last
Mark,
30
you want me to post them?
What's that?
Do you want
No,
me to
I've got them here.
on the screen? Okay.
I got them here.
All right.
Put the last 30 days, they put the dock in at the point. They've been cleaning out roadside ditches. They've mowed and trimmed grass areas. They've worked in the cemetery. They've raked the beach parking lots. They've done, of course, garbage and recycles, cut and chip brush along the roads, repainted lines at beach and Clerk's parking lot. And they checked the dirt section of Elm Lake Road. Next 30 days, pick up and chip down limbs on roads, mow and trim, clean out ditches, shoulder work, set up beach, work on Black Bear Road, getting it ready for repaving, work on Elm Lake Road, dirt section, pull in item 4 and fix some potholes. The next 60 days is roadside ditching, sidewalks for the paving on Route 8, shoulder work on roads, dirt section at Elm Lake Road, and work on Black Bear Road. More garbage and recycling, and mow and trim grass, clean ditches, and cut hanging brush along roads. As far as chips, pave Black Bear Run, fall in item 4, order stock culverts. You're still looking into the specs for the new truck, still waiting on the other truck from last year, and pave the sidewalk. That's all I have.
All right. So we do have agreement that the sidewalks will be, the last half of the sidewalks on Route 8 will be done by the DOT. So we'll do the sidewalk part and they'll do the shoulder and the grading for that. So we have that agreement. And it most likely will be again at the end of the season after Labor Day. Roger has also put out 50% of the benches, at least 50% of the picnic tables, and by the time we get through phase 4, I've instructed him that we can put them all out. So at least we'll have some picnic tables out there beyond what's available at the pavilion. Roger and I have also been working on FEMA that we'll talk about in a little bit. And any questions for Roger in his absence or any comments? No? Okay. All righty. So now we will go on to the clerk treasurer's report. So Crystal?
So the fiscal year 2019-20 has been closed and 2021 is started. I downloaded the AUD software, report software, and have uploaded all of the prior year's data. And I have an appointment with Ted. He's going to help me upload. We have the capability of taking our information from last year and plugging it into the AUD software. So he's going to help me do that, which makes it a lot easier to get through the AUD report. And hopefully I'll have that done in the next 2 weeks. I have an application in for the deputy position and a couple of other possible interests if that doesn't pan out. At this time, I had to call because I had a question about a bad check fee. I had to call the bank. We haven't had a bounce check or anything like that, but they did say that we have there is a $25 fee if we do deposit a check that bounces. I didn't know if that's something that we want to start implementing. I couldn't find any documentation saying that it's been done in the past. So I don't know if
we know which bad check it is.
Right. It would be, I mean, we haven't had one yet, but I just want to be prepared for if we do end up getting one, then, you know, that it'll be like a set fee. It's $25, a $25 charge if a check bounces in the bank. So,
From the bank, right?
yeah. And then that fee would be applied to the person whose check bounced. So,
That's what was done. That's what was done in the past.
okay. Okay. So I'll make that more easily available. A few months ago, we had the census, a group from the census, contact us about using the village hall for training. They would like to do one of their first of about 8 trainings this Friday. They have, you know, guidelines that they have to adhere to as well. They're going to do their trainings in very small groups. And they're going to be doing their, you know, all their own cleaning. They'll clean up and disinfect everything. They'll have all their own PPE and, you know, we really won't have to do anything as far as be there except being there at the office. So as long as that's fine, you know, we'll have that going on Friday.
Did they say how many people?
Yeah, they're going to have small groups coming in at one time. They said probably about 3 to 8 people at a time, 1 to 1.5 hours, little sessions, and then they'll bring another group in. I did tell them that they have to come during normal business hours. They've been having a really hard time getting any facility to be able to do their training at, so they're being extra flexible with that.
Okay.
Additionally, we have the sexual harassment and workplace violence training and bloodborne pathogens training for the employees this Thursday. And then, as you might have seen in the abstract this week, there was an invoice for CNR for the repair of Bearhurst driveway. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in April, one of the trucks got stuck in the driveway, and they didn't think it was going to take very much to, you know, repair that, but it was actually much more than they had originally thought. So we had agreed, I guess, Jeanette and the owner of Bearhurst had agreed to that the village would pay 50% of that cost, which was $400.
So what we did is I spoke with Roger to see how much it would cost the village to make those repairs. And he said that it would be $400, if not a little bit more. So somewhere in that area. So we thought that that would be reasonable to do, and then they'll fix their own driveway. We also have notes in the future that no one will go down their drive for any trash collection from November 1st to May 1st. So that will be alleviated going forward. And the other caveat is that she had called the DPW and had left a message this fall requesting no pickup until May. And that message was never conveyed to the powers that be. So.
Jeanette, wouldn't it be wiser to have a request mailed into the office as opposed to relying on a telephone call?
Yes. So that is what I've asked.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard if they're going to call anyway, though, and then we don't know that they've called.
Right.
But I've made that very clear to Roger that if people are calling and doing things, then at least send a note to the office so that we know and we can remind.
Similar to having water turned on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah, even a simple letter, you know,
Right.
just saying, please do not go
Yeah.
down this driveway, you know.
Something documenting.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's about it for me right now.
Okay. Crystal, just a question. I did write down that we have reviewed the financial report number 10. Are we renumbering them for the 2021?
Correct. So June
number
will
one?
be, yes, June will be financial report number 1 for 2020.
Okay, so instead of 10.
No.
Oh, okay, then you're right. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
May. So financial report number 10 is for May.
As Letty will point out, I didn't even know what year it was, so I'll figure
No,
out.
we just want to get 2020 over with.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely. So before we go on to the financial report, are there any questions for Crystal and what's going on in the office? I would like to say bravo for finishing and closing out your first year so quickly and so efficiently. That's really fantastic, and I'm glad the software is so helpful for that. So kudos to you, and kudos to you working alone for the next couple weeks. Yeah. So thank you for that as well. All right, so I understand that everyone was able to review the financial report number 10. So may I have a motion to approve financial report number 10?
Move.
Doesn't matter.
All right. So Mark Crary,
Sure.
yeah, and second by Karen.
Karen.
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you for putting that little addition in the financial report, Crystal, to help us understand where the negative numbers are coming from. That's been helpful. So all in favor of approving financial report number 10, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Financial report number 10 is approved. And now I'd like a motion to approve abstract number 2.
So moved.
Okay, second? Mark
Second.
Doniker. Any comments or questions? I will put out a comment. There is a bill in the abstract at the outset of the COVID virus. Roger had asked whether he could get some masks, and I said, of course. And then we had people provide cloth masks. Well, it turns out that the upcharge on those masks was huge. So we are looking to see if we can return them. It's most likely that we cannot. So it's a lesson learned to check. Did you have something, Crystal?
It's actually not in this abstract. We remember we
Oh,
were
next one.
holding it to see if we could return them. And if we
Okay.
can't return them, then we will pay for them.
Okay, so that'll appear in the next abstract. So in the interim, we have found a source for much less expensive masks that will suit the purpose. And of course, it's so hot for the guys to work in masks at this time. So they've been doing a very good job. So all in favor of approving abstract number 2, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. All right, motion carries to approve abstract number 2. All right, so now we'll go into COVID update, something that you all know and love. So let me show you a few things. Share screen. Oh, may I share?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
Hold on.
So let me do the update. It's just a little easier to see. Oops.
No.
All right, maybe not. You know, by the time we don't have to use this anymore, we'll be pretty good. All right. So here we go. So North Country is doing very well. We've gone into phase 3. We are, anyone who's not talking, there's a lot of feedback. So if you can mute, great. So in phase 3, we are allowed to have gatherings up to 25 people. Anybody who has any questions can go to forwardnewyork.gov for all of the different guidelines for bars and restaurants as those start to open up. It'll be another 2 weeks before we can go into phase 4. So phase 3 should end June 25th, and phase 4 should end July 9th. I don't think that means that we go back to 100% normal, but I'm not going to call it that other new normal phrase that drives me crazy. So we will continue to progress there. The other big news this past week was graduation ceremonies are permitted and have been happening. The governor allowed up to 150 people in graduations. So I'm glad for our high school seniors for that. I also wanted to show you what's called the PUI data, and those are persons under investigation. So not from a sheriff's point of view, but from a health point of view. And I think we've been doing really well this month. So this is the last 2 weeks worth of data. I thought I had a little bit more there. Nope. So last 2 weeks of data. So as you'll see, we started out a week or two ago with 11 patients under quarantine. Now we're back down to 7 patients in isolation. We only have 2, and those are the most recent active cases. Those were one person who was going for pre-op surgery testing. Turns out asymptomatic, had COVID. He's been in isolation. His family members are not positive. And then there was another person who I believe went out of state and came back with that. And again, their relatives, they're being quarantined, but they're not infected. To date, we have performed 729 tests, so we're still keeping up on a county level. Number of pending results right now is 0. Number of pending tests for symptomatic patients is 0. Number of tests that have been negative are 723. So that leaves us with 6 positive tests during the course of this pandemic so far. We've had 161 folks test negative for antibodies, so they haven't been exposed. Antibody testing, we've only had 3. There is some data going on that exposure after 3 months may affect how the antibodies are showing if you do get tested. So that'll add more complexity to seeing how we treat things. And then again, we've only had 1 fatality of a Hamilton County resident, and that resident has not been residing or had not been residing in the county. So, we're staying on with our numbers. And that the last thing I want to mention about COVID is this Thursday, if you would like a test for active COVID virus, they are doing it at the Pasico School on Thursday from 10 to 11. I believe there'll be another one later at the Department of Health at the county offices. So if you would like a test, it's free. You can call for an appointment or show up, although they prefer that you call for an appointment. All right, next on the agenda is my favorite, hopefully yours, is FEMA. So actually, yay to our FEMA and New York State Dishes team, as well as to Roger and myself. We were actually able to pass our virtual site inspection for Marion Avenue. Everything has been successful, everything has been done. In addition, we found out that this is an opportunity for mitigation work. So that would be providing geotextile fabrics, making the riprap in the bottom of the culvert to break up the water coming through a little heavier, improving of some geosocks and things like that. We would qualify for the mitigation. And so what that means is that, I'll give you an example. If we are approved for $40,000 to repair the Marion Avenue culvert, we are responsible for 25% of that. And we do that through our own labor and materials. Well, if we're approved for $40,000 on the regular project and you're approved for mitigation, then an additional grant of $40,000 is provided at no cost to the village. So all of that mitigation would not cost us anything. So I think that's pretty good. So we definitely will do that for Marion Avenue. And then
What is the criteria for mitigation?
mitigation is to be able to make it stronger. So for example, if we could improve the size of the culvert, they would give us money towards mitigation. Or
And that is feasible? That's feasible?
that would be feasible, but it would not be recommended, that scenario, for Marion Culvert, because we just expanded it, if you'll recall.
Right, okay, all right.
And trust me, we are still paying for that expansion.
Right, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so in this case, they are recommending a number of things, and that's to improve the ground around the asphalt and around the arch walls and the footers and the riprap, cleaning out the stones that were washed downstream that are creating dam-like activity. So they will help us take care of that. There are two more things that we're working on with FEMA. One is the exposed water main that is seen from the bridge by the boat launch. So it's on the lake side of the bridge, and a water main has been exposed. So we're looking at some alternatives of what we can do to address that. New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services has been very helpful working with that, and Ed and I will be talking with our engineer tomorrow for additional thoughts of what we could do and how it could tie into an improvement in our water service in that whole area. So there were projects that had been started in prior years that had never been finished. So Mark Doniker can explain it better, but there's a system of loops. And so the looping area south of the bridge has not been completed for water, and this may give us an opportunity to tie that all together and make an efficient use of that time and effort. The other project is a tilted pump station off of Route 8, so that's down by the inn towards the water. So it actually, with the flood, it was actually raised up and tilted. So you can imagine what that does to the infiltration. So we're getting more infiltration, I&I, in there. And so we're looking to see how we can correct that and what further documentation we need to provide. We do have before and after pictures that are pretty clear, showing how much it has moved. All right, and we have updated engineering reports for all of those things, the Marion Ave, the water main, and the tilted pump station. Now comes to the homework section of our meeting, and that is revisiting LEDs. So if you will remember, it seems like 100 years ago, but it was actually on April 1st that we first got a project update and the 100% design plan from NYPA. After that, I had contacted Nancy Burstein with ANCA, and she helped us walk through a number of things. If some of you will recall, she actually came to a board meeting. Former trustee Craven was incredibly helpful to try and reduce the amount of the payback period and the overall cost. So he actually reduced it from 10 years to about 8 years. And part of that was, if you will recall, there are two types of bulbs. So one is a photocell, which is your regular LED light that you put into the light fixture. And the other one is a smart node. And a smart node is great for big cities because it'll tell you the weather. It'll tell you whether it's snowing. It can be adjusted, if you're going to have fireworks, for example, you could black out the whole village, with these smart nodes, and you can turn them and dim them at different times, whereas the photocells are pretty straightforward. Photocells last anywhere between 10 and 15 years. The nodes start to have to be replaced at about 20 years. So they only last about 20 years. So a few things have changed. So what I'm going to do is I went through with Nancy. Okay. So I went through with Nancy Burstein and went through all the comparisons to help us in our discussion today so that we have something to point to. So you were provided 2 PDFs, one, so you can refer back to that as well. One is dated June 1st, 2020, and one is dated April 1st. So I don't know whether you want to see that first, if you don't have it handy. But if you have one of those or 2 of those available with you, we'll walk through this comparison. The one big issue that I see with this is it's very difficult this second time around to determine where NYPA got their figures from. And so it's hard to see when things have changed, why have they changed exactly. So overall, the majority of the material, labor, and design management project costs are basically the same, not too much difference. In the April 1st version, they did put in management nodes, even though we were going to go with mostly photocells. So both the April 1st and the June 1st copies that you have, those all have the asset management nodes, and those are about $100 a piece, whereas the other ones are, you know, $20 a piece. The utility asset buyout, we are waiting. National Grid finally came back, and due to prior miscalculations, their cost of buyout went from virtually nothing to $4,100. So that's an increase. Utility disconnect security fee, deposit fee. They added $994 to the 2020 plan because no fee had been included in the 2019 plan. So that's another $1,000. The interest during construction, there's a nearly $3,000 increase in construction costs, or for the construction increase. And they said that this was because they calculated for a full year, but since they anticipated only 3 or 4 months of work, that overall interest would be much less. So I'm not sure why they increased it to a year and throwing off our numbers, but you know, I'd rather see it in black and white than to say, yeah, it's not going to take that long, and then have it take that long. So the total project cost in the first section, based on the adjustments above, the increase is $8,000 for 2020. However, when you take out your calculator and you take the total project cost from 2019 and the total project cost from 2020, there's actually an $8,500 difference. So again, their numbers are kind of screwy. So that's at the bottom of the first section of the project estimate. So if you're looking at it in the top left corner of each box, it'll say 100% design, estimated energy savings, payback, and then project planning. So under the payback section, the yearly service contract, that also increased from $1,100, or it increased by $1,100. And why is that? The maintenance fees per light have doubled. So they've gone from $10 to $20 per light based on this New York statewide contract for the asset management nodes. And when they said this initially, you could only get the management and the maintenance if you had the nodes. So yeah, so no nodes, you figure it out yourself. So I went back to Bill Farber because the supervisors of Hamilton County had talked about getting a truck, possibly hiring someone who we would then, each village in town would pay $10 per bulb and have them go around and maintain it. That has gone nowhere. No one has progressed with their discussions with NYPA. So I don't think we should count on that. The overall cumulative total project costs have increased over $31,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Our total yearly savings will decrease by about $2,000 because of some miscalculations they had in the 219 summary. In addition to that, Crystal very kindly pulled the bills that we've had so far for streetlights, and the estimates we now have for streetlight costs is about $2,000 less than what was used to calculate these savings. So 2 years ago, our estimated bills were about $17,000. Now they're $15,000. And it looks like National Grid is now doing an effort to convert all the street lights to photocells. So I think they were working down by your house, Karen.
Okay. Mhm.
So the cumulative estimated annual savings remains at 13,000, which is about 70,000 of the National Grid bills. But this is going to be less because our bills are already less by about $2,000.
Right. Right.
So cumulative total cost. So project financing, estimated rebates would be almost $6,300. The NYPA project finance line did not have the rebate, so that's added to the total. The years to be financed has increased 50%. So it went from a payback period max for the max with all nodes and everything. It's gone from 10 years to 15 years. And it just doesn't seem like it's feasible. I mean, we would still be paying on lights just about the time that we would have to start replacing them.
Right.
So just to be
Not quite as attractive as it originally looked.
correct. Now, I do have a question out to Jessica Waldorf at NYPA, and I said, it's kind of like bargaining for Sodom and Gomorrah. If I have 50 nodes instead of all 100, can I still do the maintenance on all the lights? Or if I have 20 nodes and pay $20 per light and less on the photocells, would you come and maintain the photocells? So they're out talking about that. So far, nothing's come back. So this next section of the comparison looks at the savings from municipal ownership of the lights. National Grid charges for now would give us $7,200, and I'll go down here. So this is the annual energy usage, 64,000 kilowatts. It would be down to 44,000 kilowatts because we'd save about 70,000. And municipal ownership, that would knock it down 70% to 20,000. So NYPA is saying that we would, what is that? I'm sorry, NYPA is saying that we would save 44,000 so that we would only be using 20,000 versus the 60,000. When we look at the National Grid delivery, it's suggested based on the kilowatts, we would go from 6,300 down to 2,800. But again, who knows, because that's changing as well. The electricity supply, we wouldn't have to pay them. National Grid charges is about 7,200 for the facilities. We wouldn't do that because we would own them and we would be doing other payments for that. The annual energy facility cost would be reduced by about 13,500. Pole leasing, we would have to pay 60 cents per fixture per month. That'd be about 750. So the very bottom line is we would save an average of $16,000 from National Grid, but we really wouldn't see it for at least 15 years. That's the bottom line. Any questions?
Based on these figures, it doesn't sound like a good investment.
No, I don't think it does. Mark was on the call with me with NYPA. Mark, do you have any comments? Are you muted?
Yeah, I was muted and I had to find the little switch.
Oh,
Same thing. If it's not around 10 years, then there's no sense doing it. And I assume costs will come down as other communities do it, and we just have to wait.
yeah. We'd be the first ones in Hamilton County.
Yeah. Unless we could get together with some of the communities, the towns, and do it all at one time, that would reduce the overall cost. But I don't know where any talk with Betsy Bain on the town of Lake Pleasant, or
I have sent her a number of emails over the past week and have heard nothing back. I did the same with Bill Farber, and he just got back to me on Sunday saying that, you know, he reached out to them and still have heard nothing. So it really sounds like people are not progressing it in Hamilton County. There was a lot of difficulty just trying to get the National Grid buyout numbers.
Good.
And I don't know that anyone was pushing them to get them either. So there was a lot of delay.
I
So we
would
sit and
recommend,
wait.
Yeah.
I would recommend that this be put on hold until numbers are finalized and they're pretty rock solid numbers.
Yep. Yep.
And hopefully by that time, maybe there'll be other communities
Right.
coming forward.
I agree. And Letty, your thoughts?
The same. You know, it doesn't look like a feasible option for us at this time. There's more areas that we need to be spending money besides on streetlights.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, if we could save $13,000 a year with streetlights and not put anything extra, I'd be all over that.
Oh yeah,
But that's not going to happen. All right, so we'll put that away until they come up with something better or the situation changes. Verizon small cell. I had a very good conversation with the Verizon representative. The lease, the counter signature by Verizon on the lease is going through. The major holdup, thanks to COVID, is that the regulatory approval is pending tribal approval, and that is with Indian groups. So he said that we are waiting for the Wyandotte tribe, he thought. I haven't heard of them, but I'll be doing some research. So they've been doing no work from home. Their offices have been closed. So he's hopeful that he put it in well before the COVID shutdown. So he's hopeful that it will be a delay of a couple of months. So hopefully we'll be on track to progress that with no later than fall. And the same is true for the cell tower that's planned for the ambulance corps. They're in tandem with us, which is great. All right, so the next thing are fireworks.
fire tower.
Oh, fire tower, that's pretty much on hold.
Okay.
So fire tower's on hold, grants on hold, you know, payments of the grant. We have put in for the second half of the down payment. So far, Mr. Valleggi is being patient. We'll see how long that will hold. I did get, again, we need someone in the village who would be interested, or even Lake Pleasant, who would be interested in managing fundraising for the fire tower. So if you think of anybody, or you know someone who has an interest, I hope we can get them on board quickly. And actually, there's a business in town who said that, you know, you put my logo on the board, you know, about the fire tower and sponsors, and he says, I'll give you $1,000 tomorrow. So I think there are opportunities. We just need someone to coordinate those efforts.
We could sell bricks at the base.
We could. We could. Yeah.
You're gonna have to have some kind of a walkway or whatever. So
Yep.
let's sell a brick.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of great opportunities to do that. So now I think it's fireworks.
Yep,
Can I go to fireworks?
sure.
So fireworks, what I'm going to do is I am going to put this guidance up so that we're all speaking from the same page. There is no change in the guidance from last time. So it's still draft, but I think that we are meeting all of the requirements that are being asked of us. I also checked with Arietta as to see whether they would have fireworks, and I believe they still are. I have not heard back yet But Crystal was talking to someone in Paseco who thought that they were still going forward. And I did confirm with Long Lake that they too would be having fireworks. So we would not be, the concern is there only going to be one place in the entire North Country that's having fireworks? Because you don't want to do something that's going to create a big draw to your area. So at least if there are a couple other fireworks around, they are less likely to be concerned about drawing a lot of people.
Do we know when Paseco is doing it? They don't normally do it on the same night.
Everyone would be doing it on July 4th.
Okay, that's mandatory.
That's to decrease the attraction for other people.
Okay.
Right. So second, fireworks should not be widely advertised except to communicate clearly the expectations and procedures related to social distancing. So that's the mask, the distance, etc. And limited advertising, again, would prevent drawing large crowds from the area. So the only place where this is advertised or has been advertised in the past has been the Chamber of Commerce. In speaking with Donna as well as Rochelle, they would ensure that we would have the social distancing requirements, that people should be encouraged to view it from their boats, a vehicle, or a residence, or there are other areas within the village area and town of Lake Pleasant that they could view that from. We would not be having drive-in style parking. That would not be available. We would also close the beach and block it off to the public during the display. So that would decrease the amount of people who are around there. I believe that the town of Lake Pleasant is promoting a ring of fire, and that would be an hour before the fireworks. And the reverse parade would start 5 hours before the fireworks. So people wouldn't be hanging around the village, and there would be no other festivities, bands, food, etc., that would have people milling and congregating at that time. So that's where.
What time is the parade supposed to start? Or
I think it's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. And that's down by Downey.
Well, they were concerned about something at 4:30 with Camp of the Woods. Is that still a hindrance?
So Camp of the Woods is opening their registration for the weekend at 4 o'clock on Saturday. I spoke with Carl Abrams, Sheriff Abrams, and he did not seem to think it would be a problem because everything would be directed one way.
Okay.
And they would make sure that there were sufficient people around to help move the traffic along.
All right.
And I'm not sure how much feedback Donna and Rochelle have gotten for participants in the parade. So Karen, have you been in touch with them or?
She hasn't mentioned it to me. No,
Okay.
she hasn't. No.
So I think that not having drive-in, shutting down the beach, not having anything competing, basically driving people to their residences, to their beaches to see the Ring of Fire and the lake. I think we should be in reasonable shape to meet all of those guidelines, in addition to the fact that Long Lake and Arietta would be having fireworks on the same evening. And then, of course, to promote the safety associated with the COVID guidance. Any other questions? This does not preclude the fact that Governor Cuomo may come at the 9th hour and say no fireworks in all of New York State. Then we would be shut down. But at this
We
point,
still have to pay the vendor?
the vendor has been very kind. I think it's a matter of how many days before they go off.
It's a lot of money just to, hopefully the Cuomo doesn't stop it.
Right, so we can talk to her and see how many days out, because I would hope that he wouldn't wait until July 3rd to pull the plug. But hey,
Me too.
you never know.
No.
So I think that our area really needs a shot in the arm and really needs a boost for even just this little bit of normalcy, and to stand up and say, hey, we're proud to be Americans and let's celebrate our liberty and our freedom and the birth of our nation.
Agreed.
So I would like to make a motion that we progress with the fireworks, with the caveats being conveyed to the Chamber of Commerce, and the guidance and suggestions, the encouragements be posted to our website.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Quick question. How, the word on the street is that it was already decided and we're gonna have fireworks.
No, I have said that time and time again.
Well, I
yeah.
know, but you see it in print.
Yes,
Yes, and I addressed that with the chamber, asking them why it was in there when it hadn't been agreed to.
And the response was,
no response.
no response.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people, listen, I think you know me well enough, Mark, that I don't yield so much to peer pressure. But it is true that there are a lot of people who are pushing for the fireworks, and I know that myself and this board are the ones who are on the line to make the decision that is going to, you know, address the safety concerns in our village and in our town. So I was going to write either this week or next week about these considerations that, you know, people are encouraged to view it from their boat, vehicle, or residence. You know, the beach is going to be closed. You have to obey the social distancing, et cetera, in order to keep things going forward, because we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the reopening of the North Country.
You
One
should
last
ask, you should ask for their cooperation, Jeanette, because,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, we're on the line for this.
Yep.
And if people aren't willing to do their part, I don't feel comfortable taking the blame for, you
Well,
know,
exactly.
somebody's nonsense.
Exactly.
Final
So-
question for me.
Yep.
The number of tables allotted to the
You're breaking up, Mark. You want to say that again?
the number of picnic tables allotted to the pavilion
Yes,
are
or
under,
19.
are under whatever guidelines are in effect in terms of 50% or 40% or whatever.
Right.
the
So,
number
so
is.
as of today, they were going to increase them to 50%.
Okay.
And they were going to make sure that the Chamber of Commerce has sufficient tables in which to do the farmers market.
Okay.
And Roger and his crew would be responsible for blocking off the beach on Saturday evening. And in talks with Crystal and myself, we thought if we started shutting down the beach at 6, that would encourage people to go away and then go to other places to view the fireworks and the Ring of Fire.
Let's do it.
All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Let us proceed with caution and have some really great fireworks. Right. Okay, so that's a stop sharing. All right, so now let's get on to more challenges in the village. Crystal, I will turn it over to you for our beach opening that is scheduled for this Friday.
All right. So in preparation of opening the beach and with the COVID guidelines, we did purchase some signs for both the beach and the parks and the playground. We have those on order and hopefully they'll be in by the end of the week. The signs for the beach specifically, we're going to do a max capacity. You know, it's at 50%. So we figured about 40 people is about our 50% given the size of our beach. we're going to be, the sign will say, maintain 10 feet between beach blankets and chairs, except members of the same household, maintain a distance of at least 6 feet between for social distancing, avoid gathering with people you don't live with, and wash hands frequently, all those guidelines that the Department of Health has been putting out. Jeanette has completed the beach COVID safety plan, which is an addition to our current safety plan, just regulating really, sanitizing, the little extra chores our lifeguards are going to have to do with kind of monitoring that 50% capacity and, monitoring the people that are there and keeping the facility clean. We don't have large bathrooms there or changing rooms, so we really don't have to worry too much about keeping, people, large groups out of those facilities. I think we only have a 2-stall bathroom for the girls and the boys, so we can keep that at 2 people per bathroom, and then we'll mark the 6 feet for those who are waiting. I don't remember how much we decided, how many markers we decided, but I think it's probably like 3 would be sufficient.
Because I think we run out of boardwalk then.
Right, we run out of space. We're going to use the like stairway tape, the tape for stairs. Roger says he has some of that at the garage that we can use. We're also going to be marking out like 10-foot sections just to show people where, those different 10 feet, and to give them more of an idea visually of where they should be to socially distance and to meet, the state standards and right now. So,
And go ahead.
Okay. One last thing. A couple things actually. We're not putting the raft in this year. Not only because it's going to be hard to disinfect, but last year there were many problems and complaints with the raft. And in talking with Roger and Jeanette, it's kind of a little bit of a hazard to have it out there anyways. The max depth there is only like 4 feet. It's not really that deep there. So to have people jumping in off from the raft is a little dangerous. And so we're just not going to put that in this year. It'll be less of a hassle in all aspects.
That was one of the complaints last year from the lifeguards.
Yeah, they felt that it was really dangerous, not to mention, it was hard for them to rotate out there. And we have them on a 30-minute rotation. So it just was, it became a cumbersome object. We were also discussing putting up a voluntary sign-in sheet for the public, kind of like what they have at the, the state hiking trails, where you can sign in and put your name and your telephone number. That way, if we do hear of anybody that was at the beach that tested positive, we could contact those who signed into the beach, on that day. Jeanette, do you have anything to add?
Yes, we will be providing Crystal, as always. Crystal very nicely has coordinated pouches for each of the lifeguards that contain their personal PPE. So they'll get gloves and masks, etc. And we will have hand sanitizer at the base of the lifeguard station. So that's available for people to use in addition to the soap and water that is in the bathrooms. And then the lifeguards who is not on duty will ask, but not enforce, people if there's too many people at the beach, or if people are too close, just suggest that they move a little further. And of course, if there's any situation that happens there, they are to either call the office, or if it's bad, call the sheriff's department, and not to have our young lifeguards be put in that difficult situation that I know that on one occasion happened. So Crystal, great job. It has been a lot of work trying to figure that out, and we hope the flags will work. There are some alternatives, with volleyball tape and stuff like that, but that gets a little more complicated, especially seeing the structure of our beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did want you all to know that Wells Beach is not opening. They have decided not to open this year. So I don't know whether that will drive more people to our beach, or they will continue to use their beach without a lifeguard and to swim at your own risk. I know that there were a lot of people this past weekend when I was on call going back and forth. All right, any other comments about the beach? And we'll have these things posted on the website. Again, Crystal said that there are signs not only for the beach, but our public areas now that we're kind of stuck in this for a while.
I did post to our calendar because we've had a lot of calls about when the beach is going to be open.
Yep.
So I did post the hours of the beach to the calendar, and in the description it does state the rules of the beach for the COVID, just those restrictions, since they're additional to our normal rules. So
Okay, will there be a banner on the, like something that
I'm gonna
when you
I
come
was
to the
gonna have David put probably the sign or just a little blurb on the Park and Rec page.
Perfect, and then it'll tag to that. That's great. Good. All right. Any other questions? And we can move along to the fire department.
When does the basketball court open?
It's open.
Oh, it is open. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Yep. No, that was open 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, I missed
Yep.
that. Great. Great.
Nope, that's fine. So we're trying to open things as we can and to ask people
Great.
to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there is some good news. Let me show you this first. Moving on to the fire department and our Quint truck. Is this it? Is that it? Okay. So Ryan has received this email, and I'll make that a little bit bigger, stating that this email is confirming your payment request for grant number blah, 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 which is the truck, in the amount of $928,291.96. It's been approved, and we should have it in our bank within 3 to 5 business days. So that's the first one. So that means we have to pay for the fire truck. So I have a resolution that I'm putting forward that I'm sorry, it was a little late in the day. We were trying to get all the right numbers and sources. So this would be resolution for Speculator Volunteer Fire Department, Quint ladder truck balance payment owed by the Village of Speculator. And if you have a better title for it, I'm all for hearing it. So this is the Quint ladder truck. We're receiving a grant in the amount that I had said, the $928,000 for the purchase of the Quint ladder truck, and then the specifics are given here by Stutfin, heavy duty SP70 aerial platform, hereinafter known as equipment. This represents 95% of the total purchase price, which is $974,720.54. So we had approved to purchase this on resolution number 15 of 2019, and that was done on October 15th. And whereas the budget, the 2021 budget allocated $32,000 towards the balance of the equipment payment. And if you'll recall, the reason why we put only $32,000 when we owe a little bit more than that was that we were looking to roll over any funding from the surplus sale of the rescue truck that's mentioned here that netted $8,000. We're still trying to sell the ladder truck that we don't quite have yet. And the fire department did an excellent job really holding their funding tight so that they had monies to roll over into the unappropriated fund balance of an additional $13,500. So again, that's part of the referendum that we're looking at, that we would put monies into a reserve capital account for equipment. But since our election has been delayed, we don't have that option just yet. So with all that in place, the outstanding equipment balance that we're looking at is $6,428.58. So this resolution is suggesting that the approved 2021 budget be amended to increase A3410, the fire department equipment line, from $32,000 to the $46,428.58, and decrease the unappropriated fund balance by $6,428.58. And still take the, I think I have to modify this, because we have the surplus of the 8,000 and we have an additional 6,000. So 8 and 6 is still 14, correct?
Mhm.
So that would be 14,000. Is that right?
1428.58.
14,400.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like doing math on the fly, right? Yep. So it'd be 14. So $14,428.58. So that would be the $8,000 from the rescue truck and an additional $6,428. So all of that has been rolled into the unappropriated fund balance as of this time.
That's because we haven't gotten the $8,000 yet, right?
No, we do have the $8,000. So the $8,000 is in the account. That was in their funds. That was rolled over into the unappropriated fund balance, in addition to another $13,000. So they rolled over a total of $21,500. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I'd like to, well, may I have a motion to accept this resolution on how to pay the balance for the Quint truck?
So moved.
So move. Second.
Okay, Mark Doniker is first and Letty second. Any further discussion? Okay, we would not pay for anything or take delivery of anything until all the monies are in the bank from FEMA.
So I won't be here for the parade.
It'll be here just after the parade.
Okay.
And I think Matt is on the phone, correct?
I don't know if Matt, but it was actually due in August. So
Yeah.
it's early.
So
It's Ryan and I are going out to spec the truck out for the final inspection on the 8th, and it should be here the week later after the 8th is the scheduled time, I guess, is what they like to do. So it should be middle of July that it rolls in. So let us know if we have to delay delivery, and we'll do that, whatever has to happen.
And Matt, is the general public made aware of somehow about this grant?
Yeah, it was a subject of a newspaper article.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in a newspaper article. Yes,
Okay.
It was out there in an article. We definitely, when we talk about it, we definitely put that out there that it was a FEMA grant, that we got that. So we
It's
do
on your
let people
Facebook
know.
page.
Yes, we're not, we're definitely letting people know that it wasn't, it was FEMA money that was buying this truck, and, 5% of,
Right.
other
Okay.
money.
All right.
And that we won't need a truck for a long time.
Correct. We're hoping, I don't know, maybe 20 years.
Wow.
Yep. So hopefully we'll be able to have a capital fund that we can put monies in, let it accrue interest over time, and be in a much better position going forward.
Correct.
All right. So all in favor of this resolution to pay for the the village's portion of the balance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Congratulations. Keep us posted. Okay, and then my last little bit is resolution. So this is a resolution for SVAC Day. Now, where did is that the right one? Yeah. No? No.
No.
Wrong. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, save. Yes, save, don't do that. Okay, and now share screen. Okay. So as you may or may not be aware, SVAC is celebrating its 50th year of service here in Speculator. So I am proposing a resolution to proclaim Monday, July 13th, Speculator Volunteer Ambulance Corps Day. So whereas this resolution shall be known as Speculator Volunteer Ambulance Corps Day, the ambulance was organized and incorporated by only 11 residents in April of 1970. Phil Meliti has provided faithful leadership, serving as its president every one of its 50 years in service. They started out with a little Pontiac station wagon. And then SVAC has effectively provided emergency medical and ambulance services to the residents and visitors of the village's Speculator in the town of Lake Pleasant 24/7, 52 weeks a year, and receiving their first call on April 27th. Their service area, having been licensed by the New York State Board of Health, is 52 square miles of Hamilton County. That includes our full-time residents, and we get up to about 11 or 12,000 visitors annually, plus 3 campgrounds, children's camps, Camp of the Woods, while providing mutual aid to our neighboring agencies of Indian Lake, Pasico, and Wells. They have retained their nonprofit status for these 50 years only by voluntary contributions as its sole means of financial support, which is pretty remarkable. They estimate that over 125 dedicated local members have comprised the 100% volunteer membership since April 1970, and who have served and continue to serve as paramedics, emergency medical technicians, certified first responders, ambulance drivers, and office staff, and they've responded to over 8,000 calls and counting. So therefore be it resolved that July 13th be proclaimed as Speculator Volunteer Ambulance Corps Day in honor, tribute, and gratitude to the many men and women who have faithfully served and who continue to serve the village of Speculator and the town of Lake Pleasant with dedicated distinction. May I have a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
Karen, second?
Second.
Letty, any discussion?
No, will you have some sort of a plaque or something made up that,
Yes.
I know we gave Phil Meliti a plaque for his years of service a few years ago.
Yeah,
Will
as
you
a
have
senior.
something of this nature to do that as well?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what we would propose, yeah.
Yeah.
And that we would give him the resolution as well.
Okay. Mhm.
So, and we would do it on July 13th at a little ceremony at SVAC in the morning, so that we would be able to get an article in the paper as well that week in the Hamilton County Express. For some reason, Hamilton County Express has left out the SVAC SVAC group for the last 2 years when they honor their ambulance corps in the county. So I don't know why, but anyway. All right, any other comments on that? No? So all in favor of approving this resolution to proclaim July 13th as SVAC Day, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. We will have an SVAC Day. So you are all invited to join us for that presentation. And then I think, All right, so now we are at the board roundtable. So are there any comments, suggestions?
No.
So I would like to say that for the 2021 budget year, I will again give back to the village my compensation, and I would like it to be directed towards the water fund, simply because of this COVID and the increased burden the water fund is going to experience with the significant decrease in usage during this pandemic.
Would also like to do that, Jeanette, and that fund can be used at your discretion.
Okay,
I'll write a letter to that.
thank you.
I also indicated to Crystal via email this evening to give back my proposed salary for 2021 also.
Good
All
for
right,
you.
thank you. Okay. Anything else for roundtable? Karen, Letty?
Nope, good.
Oh.
Everything looks good. I feel,
Right.
I do want to make one comment.
Yep.
I did hear, actually from the ladies at the department store, and they were very much in favor of me bringing this forward, of the number of people who have come in and were very, very disappointed that there were no barrels put out this year. And I explained to them that it was a volunteer situation and the volunteers were no longer able to do it for one reason or another. I know the reason that was verbalized here was that it was because of COVID, but in my mind, that mayor, whatever the reason may be, planting flowers, I just wanted to voice my opinion and to relay what they have heard from many of the people coming into the department store, how disappointed they were that we no longer have barrels on Main Street and Route 30, or 30 and 8.
Right.
Well,
So-
a request did go out by the ladies that have done this, asking for volunteers to take it over, and
I have no
nobody.
idea. I have no idea, Letty. I have no
No,
idea.
they did. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Oh, it did?
The letter
Oh, it
went out, and nobody stepped forward to take
No.
over the duty.
Well,
No.
actually, we may have something going forward, Letty,
Okay.
not for this year, because
All right.
with the COVID, it would be delayed. There's suppliers, because suppliers weren't getting things out there, things
right.
were not being delivered, people were not coming up because of the shutdown and then the delays and all. It's a huge effort of service and love to the
Yeah,
community.
right,
to do
yeah.
that. So yes, they did put out asks for people to volunteer. That it is a big undertaking, and a lot of the barrels are decaying or falling apart. So they believe that there is one, maybe two people who would like to take that up going forward, and stay tuned for that.
The village has in other years always purchased 10 new barrels for their efforts. So I don't know whether that tradition is still in place or not, but.
I'm not sure whether or not that was budgeted this year. I've not seen it in the past.
LPSA does
Mhm.
usually budget for it, but there was no request this year.
Yep. So I think there are a number of people who help replace the barrels if it's not the village. The other roundtable thing that I would like to bring up are the situation with our benches. So we have those beautiful Adirondack benches that were done years and years ago, that were sponsored by individual families or individuals within the community. There has been an insufficient, so the money that was raised per bench has long been gone. That money has been spent, and there's no perpetuating of any funds that would go towards improving the benches. And as they continue to get older and break down, the fees associated with improving those beyond what the guys can do at the DPW has been anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 the last 2 years. And so I did have a conversation with Mitzi Fox because I believe it becomes untenable, and I could not find anything in the minutes that where the village board had accepted the responsibility of all of those benches.
No, originally Spencer had offered to keep them in repair, but
Okay.
Right.
That-
over the number of years that has transpired, he's not been
Yeah,
willing to do that.
Yeah, he hasn't done it, and then
Right.
the village had been paying Jerry Amarine to maintain them, and those prices have gone up. Jerry doesn't want to do it anymore, and
Right.
then to try and, it's getting a little out of hand for us to maintain that. So what I have suggested is that they go through and determine each year which benches are no longer feasible, offer it to the people whose plaque who put the plaque on, whether they want it and repair it and we'll keep it in cycle, or they can take it out of cycle and keep the plaque. And, you know, going forward, if someone else wants to do something that is self-maintaining, you know, that's something that we could consider. So I think that over the years it's going to be dwindling, and they'll try and cannibalize whatever whatever benches that won't get put out again. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And we'll close by opening up to public comment once more. No, no public comment. Okay, thank you. So at this point, Letty,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Karen,
Second. Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
All right, have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
thank you.